Hey guys, what's up and welcome to another episode of the Goodcast Show. Now, when problems arise in our society, the measure of its greatness is determined by how it responds to address the said problem. Unfortunately, sometimes, if not most, society tends to hide behind archaic arguments and incoherent narratives as an excuse for inaction. So what problem am I referring to? Well, from 2020 to October of 2025, data has shown that more than 80% of the 5,857 reported suicide cases involve men. Now, the state of men's mental health is in great peril in our country and the world at large, with many calling for more serious attention to address or medicate this problem. For those of you who may be thinking that this conversation is an us versus them discussion, you are totally wrong. We are here not to talk about women, but instead address some of the problems that men face in silence. When men in Malaysia die by suicide at a rate approximately 4 times higher than women, someone's got to start talking and understanding why behind it and start discussing on how do we solve this issue. So today, I'm joined by 3 members of the Men's Circle, a male support group that is growing in popularity and size, to have a conversation about the challenges men will face in 2026 with the hope that you who are watching would be inspired to pay more attention to your mental health and well-being, and for the sake of yourself and, of course, the sake of the loved ones around you. So our discussion will center around the primary challenges that await men, for instance, suffering in silence, dealing with trauma, mental health neglect, and many, many more. So please welcome today, it's Reshan and Maurizio. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much, and Is as well.
Yeah. Thank you guys for being here. So let's start with this, which is suffering in silence. Today, I hope that you guys can share your own perhaps personal journey with this, right? How men suffer in silence. So I'll maybe start with you. Why do you think so many men suffer in silence?
I think it's because we don't really have an avenue or platform where we can actually come together and talk with one another. I think in recent years, maybe we've become so isolated that we no longer know who to go to. Some of us can't go talk with our fathers, for example. So we're missing that group. We're missing that alliance or that circle of men who we can share problems with and talk without fear of repercussions, without fear of judgment.
Do you think that talking about your feelings may sort of impact the label of being a masculine man?
That never really bothered me personally.
Yeah.
But I think for a lot of other men, that might be an issue where you don't want to be vulnerable because, historically speaking, if you're vulnerable, then you're easily attackable.
Yeah. Reshan, how about you, man? Do you find yourself sometimes suffering in silence?
Yeah, so I think the natural tendency as well is to not want to be vulnerable. For most, I would say traditional masculinity, right? That's changing a lot nowadays. We do see men seeking out what I would loosely coin as brotherhood, or even a sense of connectedness with a group, right? See, this does seem to be like the natural tendency of individuals, right, to seek alliances within groups and everything.
Yeah.
But there comes other things that comes into the picture as well. Is it good habits? Is it productive habits? Is it things that's making these men being able to think in a more critical way, in a way that makes them evolve, or is it just just going down into just vices, right? So across my time as well, personally, I've gone through many, many journeys, right? And I would say that this year has been the most transformational, right? The most amount of fitness, most amount of activities, and truly a sense of connectedness. And I wish this for more brothers,
Okay.
Right?
So, I want to talk about how men approach problems, right? So, is it the male ego that tends to feel that it has to shoulder the problem entirely on its own? Do you all, as men in the world today, feel that perhaps before this you had to deal with the problem, that you can't share that problem, that burden with somebody else?
100%. I take charge of this, and thanks for sharing, brothers. 100%, yes, because that's a narrative. It's simply the story that has been sold to us that the lone wolf has to hustle by himself, has to isolate and work hard and keep everything by himself. But it's quite easy. I mean, as I invite everyone just to go on either ChatGPT or Google and just see the percentage of men engaged with addictions. And when I say addiction, immediately he thinks about drugs and alcohol. No, could be validation, Could be sex, could
Yeah.
be porn. It's a big issue now, porn.
Yeah,
between
that's a huge
youngster.
problem. Yeah.
And in jail, the jail population, 95% is men.
So you're saying that the reason why they engage in addiction is a way to solve the problem.
100%. Simply because nobody taught us. So think about this. Look, we come from different backgrounds, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But doesn't matter where you come from. Each one of us has been taught simply to bottle down, suppress your emotions. They gave us a costume, right? But without the tools to understand what's going on within us. So when you don't have the knowledge and awareness on how to deal with your emotions, you must to find ways to suppress them. And the best way is getting high or distract yourself. So, and it's very easy though, because many men, they don't even recognize that because they don't have
Of
the
course.
time to pause because they're so busy to provide, right? But if each single man right now, listen to this podcast, just pause a second and pay attention anytime you get nervous, anytime you get in a situation of discomfort,
What
and
do
you
you
get
do?
angry, what do? You maybe vape, light on a cigarette, open a bottle, look some girls. Each one of us, 100%, we have something
So
going on.
do y'all feel that, like before this, that y'all run away to something?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Actively.
Could you
At
share
the
what that
moment
is?
as well, but it's just shifted, right?
Okay.
It's just shifted, maybe before this I used to run into voids into Instagram, right?
Okay.
Of like sexy girls, like
That's fine, man. We all do
nice
that.
cars. No, but so that's moved a bit more into
Yeah.
like let's say aesthetic pictures of BMWs.
Okay.
And like motorbikes that I really like, custom bikes. And I sort of had to like take a conscious, active initiative to work on my algorithm, basically, and try to get Instagram to stop feeding me.
What I shouldn't
Thirst
see.
traps.
Thirst traps. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
basically.
But okay, so it's right. Am I getting it right? It's
Yeah.
right. How much of this behavior do you point to or blame on the definition of masculinity?
Okay, I think since maybe 70s, 80s, you always have these guys, those really macho guys. You had
Yeah, yeah,
Rambo, you had
You son of a bitch.
Terminator. You had
Yeah.
all these really buff guys. So
Yeah.
that was
Get to
that's
the
what
chopper.
you're built on, right? Yeah, exactly. So ever since then, you gotta think, okay, how much of that is still true and how much of that can change? So the problem was, if you're an 80s or 90s kid, you're built on that type of ideal. But nowadays, everything has shifted because you realize that life is a lot more complicated. When it comes to the workforce, for example, now everything is split 50-50. So how does that then look? Like you as a man, do you still feel like you're providing enough? Or does it feel like, oh, you have to rely on
So
somebody else?
those labels by those pictures don't fit today's life, you think?
I don't think it fits.
Arnold
in his
Schwarzenegger,
life.
in the scene, Predator with the gun and all that, don't
I mean,
fit.
It's still cool to feel macho,
Yeah,
it's still
yeah.
cool to think that, if I'm Neo in Matrix or something, you want to be the hero.
Yeah.
But nowadays, it's a lot more complicated. We're facing stuff where, do you have enough to provide for your family?
What do you wish more women knew about how men operated?
There's 10,000 times more going on inside the head of a man than you have any idea. He's carrying burdens that you don't have a clue about, and he don't know how to express them, and he don't know what to do about it, and he figures if he puts it out there and communicates it, he's just going to be shot down, called a fool, called weak, so he carries it inside, and you have no clue the burdens and the hell that most men are carrying inside and not even showing you. I wish more women understood that.
The definition of what it means to be a man, it means being there for your family, being there for your kids, doing all of those additional things as well. And it doesn't mean that it deducts from being macho or anything like that. I think it enhances it. We have to play both parts in this.
So interesting. You talk about movies, these action stars in the 80s, early 90s, basically, which I love to. I love to. Who defined that term to you? But how about you, Maury? Who defined masculinity for you?
Well, the men that I look up are men really grounded, with an incredible presence. And when I say presence, means that they don't need to shout. They don't need to, show off.
Yeah.
Simply from the way they talk, they move, what they say. That's for me masculinity. And masculinity is to be in control without, this is a very important point, without the need of avoidance. I'm telling that why. We have a story, again, from the movies, superheroes, that resilience. When immediately we think about a man resilient, we think about a man that says, no pain, no gain. I push it down and I keep going. For me, that is very detrimental. Because masculinity is to, yes, be resilient, yes, be self-disciplined, yes, be extremely ambitious, but without the need of being avoidant. What I mean by that, a situation comes, it's very stressful. As he says, maybe I have no money to pay the bills or the studies of my kids. I have a difficult season with my wife. Instead of pushing out the emotion and just, okay, let's sort it out, is to pause and understand, as he says, his ear was taking ownership. Why am I feeling discomfort right now with my wife? It's not because my wife says a word that is because of her that I have anger issues. It's taking ownership of the emotions and learn how to deal with them without the need of Instagram, opening a bottle of wine, or whatever we do. So, for me, masculinity is the courage of dealing with uncomfortable situation without the need of running away.
Okay.
I know the rest is a byproduct. The presence, the masculinity, your physique is a byproduct of that
okay.
attitude.
But that's the key tenet of
100%.
masculinity. How about you, bro? Do you feel pressure to fit that label as per how you define it?
Okay, so I'm going to probably say a little bit yes, because I do also believe that. See, so I've read some stuff about this, and back in the days, men used to have what they call a third place, and very defined third place, right? For
Like a man cave?
No, a third place is somewhere like a bar. Somewhere that you go to play
I think
snooker,
they still do.
or somewhere you go to play pool.
Okay,
with your mates, with your friends.
You have
know,
a
and you
place to blow out, yeah.
To go blow out
Yeah.
before you come home, and that existence of a third place is not much recognized, I would say, nowadays. So I would say as well, yes, I do fit into some traditional masculine stereotypes in the sense that I would say, if you can ride a motorbike, get a motorbike.
Okay.
I've had amazing moments on motorbikes and motorbike clubs,
Okay.
and even like riding somewhere. This sense of adventure. So I would say that can help as well.
So interesting.
To blow off some steam.
You just said that. So this sort of that's sort of contradicting a bit to what he's saying. So you're saying a bit of avoidance is good. That a bit of escapism is good.
Yes, but it's about what you escape to.
Okay.
That is the journey that every boy takes to become a man.
It's kind of like, which poison do you choose, right? I mean, you can either go for a bar and you can go for negative vices, or you can go and do something healthy, like you said, like go off on a bike by yourself, or go do something like to the gym, maybe.
Which could be dangerous too. I mean,
But it's about choosing what is it. I think that everyone will eventually get into some vices. We're not all angels.
no, I know,
right?
but why do you need that escapism though? Why do you think men need that escapism? And I think that's an important discussion because
That is a good discussion.
I think we were talking before this podcast, right? Men, I was reading this book that was talking about how men sometimes need time to retreat away in a relationship. Women may misinterpret this as saying a man is leaving or being aloof, but he needs to recharge, right? To recharge his batteries, right? So do you think the world does not give us men that time we need to escape sometimes?
The world is designed to not give anyone the time, I feel. It is to each man to create that time for him. And that comes in different ways, right? Maybe it means that you see to your chores during your free time. Instead of taking that nap, you see to your chores to open up some time that you can do something else. So these are decisions that you make on a daily level as a man that influences your how your day turns out.
Okay.
Right?
How about you? Do you agree with that? Because you are saying to not avoid, but he's saying we need escapism.
Wait. Let me reformulate. I think there is actually we say the same thing. So, in this case, he mentioned the motorbike. So it's not that we need to be warrior.
And batters the Persian ships with hurricane wind.
100% of the time. So the whole point is to develop the skills, as you said about masculinity, in order to know how to deal with every situation. For example, I love rugby. For me, I watch a rugby game.
Yeah.
It's a stupid example, but the analogy makes sense. It's not that I'm escaping from something. Simply, I love rugby because rugby for me is an analogy of life. He loves riding a bike. I assume that maybe sometimes you had a difficult mood and you took the bike, but most of the time you take the bike because for you it's freedom. It's just an enhancer of life. So I don't think it's about escaping from something. It's more to be able to develop the skills to deal with every situation, because either we like it or we don't. Life will always be testing us. So, it's like a beautiful quote, which is not mine, I wish. Happiness is not the absence of struggles, it's the ability to deal with them. So, if we are aiming as men to have a happy life, we will be disappointed until the very last day. But if we are aiming to have the strength and the courage to every situation, to know how to deal with it, and knowing that sometimes we're going to fail without judgment, that is the most courageous act a man can do.
If you watch certain movies, you watch certain things, right? You see how when a man says that, the whole response to the man is, so what if you're tired? I'm also tired. And this becomes an us versus you, right? Which then degrades everything. And I think that puts more pressure on men and then leads to all the problems that we have.
It's possible. I mean, I think if we also just explain to them, hey, we need about half an hour or 1 hour. But the problem is that a lot of us don't want to say that.
Men want to be alone, but we don't want to be by ourselves. Does that make sense at all? Meaning, really, we want you somewhere, like in the dwelling, just not here, just around the corner, in the vents. You can sit in the vent, I don't care if you want to watch me, but in the on the roof, anywhere, but just not in front of me, trying to be my friend. What you doing? What you doing?
Because then it causes this whole bubble and this argument. And it's like, we don't want that. We want peace.
Exactly. And when you don't have that conversation, then that leads to what you were saying, how we then go into the vices. Because that gives a quick fix. Like in 5 minutes, after a smoke, after a drink, you immediately, but then that's a bad habit to have.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so let's go back to the suffering in silence thing. Interesting, talking to you all about that. But I just want to get an idea from you all, three of you all. Right? Maybe start with you. Who do you think told you that you needed to suffer in silence?
There was not specifically somebody that told me.
Yeah, who or what?
It's
What is that?
It's simply a narrative.
And a man provides. And he does it even when he's not appreciated, or respected, or even loved. He simply bears up, and he does it because he's a man.
It's simply a behavior. Was born and raised in Italy, but then 19 I moved to the UK, then to Japan, back to the UK, US, Colombia, Italy, and now in Malaysia. And since my 20s, which I always been for some reason, for me it was never difficult to be vulnerable. Actually, I was looking for mentors. Hey, how do you do this? Because I'm not able to. But I've noticed that I did play rugby, so a very masculine environment for 17 years. I've noticed other men were really struggling. They were surprised when I was asking them these questions. Oh, why you share this? And I would say I was lucky enough that, somebody has been stabbing on the back, but not that much, according to the volume of vulnerability that I've been showing. So for me, it was more, I capture from others, man, I've noticed, wow, for them it's so difficult, to express. So to be honest with you, in my particular case, it was just quite genetically, you know. I never struggled to be vulnerable.
Do y'all feel unsafe to be vulnerable?
Yes, sometimes. Yeah.
What do you fear risking?
Okay, so I'll just give a very basic example with
Sure.
past relationships. Is that the moment you start talking about what issues you have, then it no longer becomes about the issue. Now your partner is also involved. Now they're scared. So now instead of dealing on the issue on your own, you have to deal with their emotions. That means you have to solve that one. That means
Preach.
it's a layer on top of a layer.
Yeah, I know what
and
you
now
mean.
instead of focusing on, oh God, okay, we have to find a way to pay off for this thing or this thing or this thing or this issues, let's say plumbing or whatever, you know. Now it's like, okay, I have to help calm her down first in order to solve the
So
issue.
now you've added another problem to your list.
Added another problem to your list, and then it just piles on after that. It's so hard. Like,
How about you, bro? Do you feel that fear of being? Do you like? You know what? I'm not going to talk because
So,
if I
okay,
talk,
I'm born and bred in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur. So yeah, I'm like bona fide KL boy, Damansara boy, right? So, I would say in this midst of these areas, Klang Valley, yeah.
I did know geographical.
The reason maybe why people don't share very much and they don't want to be vulnerable
Yeah.
because there are bad actors out here who are weaponizing information, like information that they know, then they weaponize to even like friends who don't become friends anymore. And what do they do with the information that they know about you? So these kind of link deeper into like social psychology.
Give us an example. What do you mean
within
by
this area.
weaponizing the?
Yeah, if let's say someone knew something about you, let's say if you had a particular vice, be it like let's say you have a problem. Let's say someone has a problem with alcoholism,
Yeah.
and they reach out to a friend, and say this friend is someone who maybe doesn't have the purest intentions, and then weaponizes that information against them to attack them,
I
and
see.
that experience only needs to hit a man once to
And
make
then-
him
I'm never
have
talking
trust
about
issues,
Yeah.
right? So I want to get into the real depths of it, like really what's happening, right? And trust issues then cause men to not want to trust anymore because they have already felt the pain of being betrayed, of like, hey, I opened up and that information then was used against me, so I'm not going to open up anymore. And there was nothing to challenge that belief in men, and it just continued.
you know what's unique? Okay, because there's a men's circle, there's nobody else. There's no other women inside the room. So for the first time, it's not like competing against another man. You know, you don't feel that competition that you normally feel in the outside world. Oh, this guy has a BMW. Oh, I have to have a Mercedes. I have to have an Audi. In that room, you're all just guys going through the same shit. You know, it's different. You're not like, oh, I have to be more sexier than this guy. I have to be fitter than this guy. No. So in that circle, you're finally free just to be you.
But what do you think happens in you or was happening in you when you felt that you couldn't talk about how you were feeling as compared to now that you know that you can talk? What's the difference in what you were feeling inside?
I think is that you know there's inner work that you have to do. So let's say before you go off and you have a smoke or you have a drink or whatever, you think, okay, what's triggering this? So you do the inner work like Mario was talking about. So the moment you start feeling those triggers, like how do I react to this one? So that's something that you learn either from the men's circle or, you know, as you go along your journey.
So just to add on to what you said, so it's a multimodal, there's multi-modalities to it, and one of it is the lack of framework for men. So there's no framework. No one told us, or no one told us how to be, or how what are these feelings, what are these emotions. Like a lot of men don't know how to process it. The usual narrative is usually just suck it up, be a man, and just move on and do your duties, right, as a man, right? But there's a lot of it in the process that's lost in the way, and men don't really talk about it because they weren't really told how to talk about it as well, right? So these frameworks are important as well because it gives men what do you talk about to a brother? Like, how do you open up? Like, how do you it can be as simple as like going for picnic with a bunch of friends, right? Going to a waterfall with a bunch of friends. These kind of small events foster like small communal energies, and these are the actual small webs of like what's keeping our society in KL together actually, right? So like the interactions, the discussions that go on during these times are important actually for you, for well-being, right? But framework, right? So these are some of the things that I personally picked up from the men's circle as well. Number one, knowing that I'm not alone actually. Like some of these feelings that I feel, some of the dichotomy of the feelings that I feel, some of these guys feel it too.
Yeah.
And some of these guys are not born and bred in KL like me, but they still feel it. And they are not in my same age group, but they still feel it, right? So why, right? Then it gets me being more self-inquisitive as well about, like, I start to understand that, hey, this is not just like a me problem, like this is a bigger societal thing as well, right? But I'm a part of it, right? So what are things that I can do that's within my locus of control?
Let's go back to this, to a point when you guys couldn't share, you felt that you could not be vulnerable with your feelings, right? At that time, what was the one question you were hoping people would ask you?
Are you really okay?
No one asked you that.
Everyone will ask, like, hey man, how you doing?
Like, just like a statement,
Yeah,
right?
just
Yeah.
like a
You may not hear him scream out loud, but pay close attention to the music he plays, the way he drives, the videos he reposts, and the times he just goes silent, ladies. Yeah. If you listen closely and pay close attention, you will hear the screams of a dying man inside. And that is real talk.
statement. But honestly, like, just to the next person that you see really needs it, if you ask them, how are you? And they tell you that I'm fine, or I'm okay. And you just pause and you ask them, how are you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes that's all
It takes, right?
and I've seen amazing moments with other fellow guys, and even it's a human thing, right? It's not a masculine, feminine thing, but just pausing to ask, how are you really? That makes a difference.
Then you start seeing like the words start mixing up and they struggle. Then eventually it all comes out. Yeah.
But you got to be prepared to hold that space as well, right, for them. But we can do this and be there for each other. I just feel more of us need more frameworks about what does it mean to like show up.
But is it framework though? Like what you're saying seems very human. Like it's just, do we, like, again, I go back to what I said earlier, right? Sometimes we make mountains out of anthills, right? When something like just simple as asking, hey, how are you, man? How are you really? It doesn't need a framework. It just needs to be human, right?
Yeah, but how many of us even stop to ask, how are you really? All of us stop at like, hey, how you doing? How are you? And like, yeah, fine. Okay, bro. You know? It's standard. That's how I was, you know?
Do
and
you
out
all
of
thi-
like 200 people that would ask me, how am I? Maybe 2 people ask me, how am I really?
Okay.
And those 2 people I actually shared my emotions and feelings with that time. It is human, but I would say that in the current pace of society and just like doom scrolling and like just constant dopamine hits from everything and everything.
Yeah, it's terrible.
We have to remind people to be human sometimes.
We talk about men's circles, so it's men dealing with men, right? Men working together with men to hear them out and all that. Not necessarily solve problem, but to hear you all out. Is that saying that the current male dynamic of how we mingle in social circles is flawed?
Oh, yeah.
Possibly, yes. Yes.
As the guy says before, number one, we live in relationship all digital, you know, so we get this avatar, you know, and then we all resonate on that. You know, we might have a very difficult day, but because I need to show to my brothers that I'm cool, I'm driving, I have a smile, get a selfie, I might going through depression. I guess we didn't mention some data, but actually you mentioned at the beginning, out of 85% of the suicide in Malaysia, not only Malaysia, unfortunately, but are male. How many times is somebody of you, unfortunately, had experienced somebody close to you that killed himself? I was such a nice guy. How many times have you heard? He was always smiling. Because again, there is, it's not one event, because I can't recall, my father never told me what does it mean to be a man. But as young male, we look up at our father and we just mimic him. And I remember my father, as yours, I guess, that he was simply going through his own stuff, dealing with it and find solutions.
Yeah.
So I think even a lot in the movies, you know, movies this man by himself, and I always love to say that a lone wolf in winter dies.
Yeah.
So, and I think I mean, our ancestors as well, we came on earth as tribes. And somebody reject the concept of tribe, for me, is fascinating, because there are times that men and women gather together. There are times where men stay with the family, and there are times when men gather together. And there is this beautiful energy when you are in a group of men, and then you know that you can be free, you can be seen, you can be heard. This kind of feeling of brotherhood and tribe and warriors, modern warriors. Of course, we're not going to hunt anymore. Now we hunt money through, social media and podcasts. But there is so much beauty of feeling part of a group without the neediness of escapism, escaping somewhere, but to be part of a tribe. To the feeling of belonging. We are so isolated, and in general, men and women, there is need of honest conversation. How beautiful and healing is to be honest and throw on the table things that's going on in my life. This goes for women and men, but in this specific case, men are the one that they are not used to it.
What do you tell someone who perhaps right now, at this moment, is feeling like, I don't want to share, not because I don't want to, but I'm fearful of being judged? What do you tell him?
Go for therapy. Really, go for therapy.
But what if my response to that is, that's not a meaningful, I want to connect with someone, a loved one.
Come to the men's circle.
No, a loved one. Not a men's circle is still somebody new.
It's true. And this comes back to the need of a third place, right? So these meaningful trust bonds that need to be formed, in which men are able to express themselves back in the day, while also preserving their image of traditional masculinity, right? So these sort of, in Malaysia, there's a very big stigma actually about therapy, but therapy is amazing, right? For those who have already experienced it and they have felt like the engines of CBT working within their heads, and like how that's made them more they implore more into themselves. That's improved a lot of lives, the quality of lives of men, right? But there is still a big stigma about it. For some reason, in Malaysia, to seek professional help.
Everywhere, man. Everywhere, really, yeah.
No, but I think he's right, because I think in the Western Hemisphere it's more accepted. Here we still have that Asian samurai kind of mentality. Men should be armored and with your swords.
And for you to speak to a therapist means for you to validate that you're
crazy.
You're crazy. This stigma.
Yeah. Interesting. All of you all have given options that don't involve the loved one. Why? You all say mentorship, you talk coaching, but why not the loved one?
Well, so you got to find the right loved one, right? I mean,
it depends on.
who you're going to talk to.
Yeah.
And not only that, what I realized is that sometimes your loved ones or your closest friends or something, they tend to have your best interests at heart, so they can tell you what you want to hear, but it's not necessarily what's healthy for you. It's not necessarily what's the right thing to do, because how many of your close friends are going to tell you, hey, stop being a dick? How many are they going to do that?
Sometimes we need to hear that.
Sometimes you need to hear that. But majority of friends will sugarcoat things. They want to make sure you're happy.
And sometimes, it's the time to hustle, right? Like when it's closing for the year, for the month, it's time to hustle, right? And like for some men, that means, you got to put in some extra hours as well. Like none of your family is going to be like, beta, continue to work until late at night. They're going to be like,
stop.
Stop. So like these are things that you go through as well, and that's where like peers that come into place, like people that you connect with, who are also sort of like going through the same thing together. Yeah, and that's where you're able to like share very context specific type of situations, or ask for context specific advice from. Right, so seek brotherhood, seek sisterhood, seek unity. Mauri is right. We are not meant to be in isolation unless we choose to. Yeah.
Do you think too many men make that choice?
Yeah. It's up to all of us. Like we have to make that choice, right? But there is times where you need to lock in.
Coming back to your question, why don't we automatically go to a loved one first? Yeah. It can be very emotionally charged. So it just adds on to the problem already, because you don't want to blow it up. You don't want to make what did you say? Out of an anthill, you don't want to make
a mountain out of an anthill.
An anthill, yeah. So it's very difficult. But unless you're already set beforehand. So coming back to my wife again, where she said, this Friday we're sitting down, we're gonna have a talk, 4 questions each.
4 questions each.
4 questions each. Honest, like freaking.
It's so specific.
Yeah.
Wow. You're done with 4.
Yeah, man. And it's scary, to be honest. It's more scary than talking with you guys, Because you guys, and I'm not going to go home with you. I'm not going to be sleeping in the same bed with you guys. You know,
No
but-
repercussions.
Yeah, there's
no,
no
yeah,
repercussions. I can
yeah,
be
yeah,
open and
exactly.
free with whatever. But to say that with a close loved one, you can even try it with your parents. Like if I ask you right now, I want you to go off and talk to your parents, tell them what's going on in your life, all the issues that you have. What's the first feeling that you get? Are you
Don't do it.
Don't do it. You're scared, right?
Because I know how my mom's going to react.
Yeah. So that's the reason why we
Yeah.
don't go to a loved one. We
And
know how
that
they're
makes
gonna
sense. Yeah,
react.
yeah. That makes sense.
And to add, beautiful, by the way, respect to your wife for it's a very interesting things that she's suggesting you to do. When it comes to relationship, I'm in a relationship. I'm not married. I have a beautiful girlfriend. Beautiful. I mean, amazing woman because it's about conversation. It's about honest conversation. But always, what I believe that our partner, talking from a man perspective, is not our therapist. So there has to be a good degree of openness. There has to be a time where you process, and the time that you have, again, I will never get tired. It's about the people you spend time. So having the tribe that is there when it's needed. Say, guys, I'm in this situation with my wife or my partner. I've been doing this work. Just how have you been dealing with it? So you have your own perspective because you've been doing the work, and you just ask, and you get some feedbacks.
So it's interesting because that means, are we now saying that this perception or this belief that your partner should be your best friend, your partner should be the person, or it can be partner or someone close, maybe your mother, your parents, or whatever, it doesn't matter, but your loved ones are supposed to be the place, the shoulders that you lean on, is wrong?
No, who say that?
No, but you are sort of saying that because you're saying go to the
realities
tribe.
Can exist.
No.
Both realities can exist. They can also be your place to have your shoulder on, your support system. Of course, that's what we are here for, right? We can't take care of each other, then we don't need to be with each other, right?
Yeah, at the same time, you can have the guys. You can have your group
Yeah.
there with you, man, your
At the
tribe.
same time, yeah.
So that means you can have them together. It
Yeah,
doesn't have to
yeah.
be one or the other.
Yeah, but there are boundaries, I guess. I mean, you don't go and complain to your girl about MU's losing streak, lah.
That's the worst thing.
Sorry.
Worst thing to say. Yeah,
We
worst thing
won,
to say.
Like
Yeah.
recently.
We won? Yeah, we won 1-0, right?
1-0,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow, I'm so happy.
But you see, right, there is a time and place for certain things, and in context of relationships nowadays, right, sometimes our partners might not understand the stresses that we're going through in the workplace, especially when it comes to, let's say, like domineering kind of situations in executive settings. Yeah, like they might not understand it, right? But they can be there for you. But is that what you need at that time? Or do you need someone who's there to maybe like help you navigate some of the things together, your thought patterns together? You want to review it with someone. This is what I'm saying. Like, guys need this. And the thing is, the quality of the feedback that you get revolves around the people that you spend your time with. If you are spending your time around people who are not intellectually at the level or even present to give you the feedback that you need specifically for that situation, then you're going to get stuff which is like noise, right? But if you are spending it with people that you choose, that okay, let's say like these are like guys that my like career friends. These are like my guys who are like my pickleball friends, like who can offer me advice on like sporting. These are my guys who are like who are into gym, who are into motorbikes, can give me technical advice on motorbikes and everything. So you have a lot of like options as a man. But I think coming back to why suicide is on the rise is because these options are not being explored, or these options are not being made known. Right? A lot of the boys, maybe are more comfortable in a cocooned life because their life is online, digital, right? So go touch some grass.
Yeah, for real.
We mean the grass on the ground.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's go to this. Interesting you talk about that because I want to talk about the mental health and why men neglect it, right? So what, in your opinion, are perhaps some of the warning signs that men should start paying attention to? Like when you start exhibiting this, then it's time to go get help.
Can I start?
Yeah, please.
Loss of drive, loss of libido, loss of willingness to put yourself out of your comfort zone. We always share with the boys, each one of us, they always, since young kid, we were the brave man. We have a brave man within. But then we grow, we make some choices. Sometimes we start to experience shame, guilt, and the little brave man. Do you remember? I don't know you. I think I wanted to be Spider-Man or a superhero. I guess we can all resonate. But then we grow. Again, shame and guilt. We start to feel uncomfortable so that the brave man is still there, but is hidden. In the journey, each man, doesn't matter if you aim to be the best father, or football player, or podcaster, or whatever, bike rider, whatever you want to go. Each man needs a mission, loves a mission, and loves the performance to get to it. So once you notice that you start to lose the drive, you lose even sexual libido, you start to feel ashamed to go out because I don't have nothing interesting to say, those are times that you absolutely need to pause a second, and things that men we don't do because we're always trapped by the rat race of providing and finding ways of not being with ourselves, and to journal, to have a good friend, brothers, or you might lucky to have your wife, to have a conversation, says, hey, this is happening. And I did recently on ChatGPT, I was looking what men in Malaysia are looking on the internet. And most of the time is the first sign of depression, erectile dysfunction, and loneliness.
Yeah, and apparently in Malaysia, it's a big problem now among 18-year-olds, man. They're starting showing signs of ED. It's crazy. Things are getting really bad, yeah. Especially porn addiction as well.
It's because of porn.
Porn is terrible, yeah.
Look, I just want to share this, which has been just posted today on Medium. I don't know if you know Medium is a platform where you post articles. It's written by Damien Gravesky. And it's from Malaysia. I absolutely recommend you talk about the youngster in Malaysia. Just some numbers. I read it because I want to say, give it. It says 7.6 of the boys in Malaysia had suicidal thoughts. 5.7 of boys in Malaysia had attempted. 17.7% of the boys show symptoms of depression. We talk about boys from 14 to 17. 11.6 of boys report frequent loneliness. So this topic, and again, you're an amazing man. Thank you for this opportunity you're giving us. It's so unspoken, but so needed. Because we talk about man only when man becomes a problem. Recently, the young man stabbed to death a woman. Oh my God, what's going on? We were discussing before. This conversation, and thanks again for opening the space, I'm sure that whoever is going to listen, maybe a man or either a woman, because women have always been supporting a lot the work we are doing. It's so important because there is really an epidemic. If we don't take action, if we don't create space, if we don't share the work we are doing together, it's not about ego. We don't teach any man what to do. It's about bringing men together in a safe container, but boundless, without limiting you in any form of mean. It's not about religion. You can be whatever you want to be. It's not about skin color. It's not about how much money in the bank account. It's men from different walks of life. They gather together in a tribe, and we sit down and we remove that armor. And
no, but I think it goes deeper than that. I understand what you're trying to say, but I want to go deeper into this, right? Especially mental health. And we'll start with you. What do you think? What would you say to men who say that focusing on my own mental health is selfish, is weak?
I'd say absolutely not. Do at least one thing that you like every day to make your day worth it for the next day. I think that drives men forward. Just remember to do something that you really like to do every day, that you really, really enjoy to do, and not because someone tells you to, or not because of responsibility or something, but what you really enjoy to do. And that comes back to you saying that how it links up to men wanting me time, right? But getting to know yourself, self-awareness, right? Not because this is what you learned in the past or this is what someone told you of what self-regulation feels like, or what knowing your real actual hobbies are like. Not maybe doom scrolling wasn't your hobby, maybe you
what is doom scrolling again? You just keep scrolling.
Just keep scrolling on Instagram, on Twitter.
Doom scrolling, sorry.
Yeah, you see it all over the place, right?
Okay.
So it is a thing. It is a social thing.
No, interesting because as men in today's world, right, we see things were a bit different compared to our grandparents and their fathers and all that, because then you had lesser noise.
Yep.
Because there was no social media, there was no phone, everything was very communal and all that. Interesting point you bring up, right? You said know yourself, be self-aware, right? Do you think in today's world it's much harder to be self-aware? Because some of the content, a lot of the content I see on Instagram, self-help guys saying, no, you have to work 25 hours, 8 days a week, like that annoying guy, I don't know what's his name, who shares his routines. He starts off by putting his face into ice water, and then so I mean, all these things. Isn't it just harder? Maybe some of us don't like doing that. Maybe some of us don't like working out, right? Do you think it's harder today to be honest with yourself? Like, this is who I am. Do you feel that?
It's a choice. To me, it's everything. Ignorance is a choice. Don't choosing consciously. Don't taking care of your body, your mental health, your emotions, your relationships. It's a choice. It's a choice. Why? Again, I go back to it's much easier to avoid something and do not make a choice for the fear of making the wrong choice. Is that the fear? But when a man again pause a second and is able to be exposed again to other people, say, wait a second, I saw Reshan this year, you have an amazing spectacular here in the group, is very super active and share is as well now, and congratulations, almost become a father. So when I'm exposed, and I'm not isolated, but I am exposed and I start to see there, say, wait a second, but I'm 40 whatever, I don't have a family, I don't even have a bike, I don't have a passion, I don't have meanings, and you see other, you pause, it triggers you, say, wait a second, I need to make a choice. So don't take, neglecting your mental health, it's a choice. It's avoidance of something which is discomfort. And I think one of the biggest lessons we're going through this year, we go through so many topics, is the beauty of being okay with a discomfortable situation. Because once you are in your okay with yourself, you're not scared about it, because okay, it's not pleasant, it's a difficult situation, maybe the communication with my wife, maybe financially, but you know what? I have everything that it takes to deal with it. But if you are isolated, you have a relationship online, you don't have friends, it's difficult for you to make that choice because you don't get triggered.
No, but you are
stay in
talking
your
about.
comfort zone.
I understand, but what I'm getting at is that it's harder for men today to even get to that point, like what you're saying, because it's hard for me to I can't make an informed choice about how to live my life if I don't know who I am. In today's world, because of marketing, men are shown like this is how a man should be. A man should have A, B, C, D. But it took me, there's one performer, his name is Miles Davis. He said, it took me 35 years of my life to learn to play like myself. Right? Because when you start, you're told you should be like this. This is the definition of, but we all come in different colors, different sizes, right? We all have our own. Like sometimes, like I, for example, I have left groups of friends because when we meet, they would always talk about their CV. Which got annoying to me because I really don't care. I came here to drink, talk about girls and laugh and all that. I didn't come here to know how much you earn or your car. I honestly don't care. Like I could care less about that, right? But so I left. But a lot of men don't make that choice. They stay in that. And then they compete. But actually, years down the road, they may realize, wait, that's not me. I don't like doing this. So my thing is that, do you all feel that today's world, it's harder for a man to even get to that point to say, what choices should I make? Because I'm busy trying to wear another person's clothes. Do you all feel that?
Honestly speaking, I think it's because it's a lot easier to go to the extremes, You have different podcasters, or not even podcasters, Instagrammers, influencers who tell you, this is what a man should be like. They should be macho, they should be on their own, they should be a lone wolf. And it's easier to follow that one because it's at the extreme end. But if you do something in moderation, like what the men's circle does, it doesn't tell you, oh, you have to be a lone wolf, oh, you have to be macho. It tells you to do the introspection, you have to do the inner work. That moderation bit is a lot harder than going off to the extreme, but people want to go for the easiest thing. So they go to the extreme and say, okay, I'm going to go and make an 8-figure salary. I'm going to, work myself to death. I'm going to be like, this influencer who tells me to drink only green veggie shakes and all of that bullshit. It's a lot easier to follow
It's
those
so
guys.
annoying. Yeah.
And you get bombarded by those extreme views, and it's on both ends. It's like, I'm going to live a very healthy lifestyle. I'm going to go off and be an extreme capitalist. No, those are both two extremes on either end of the spectrum.
I'm going to buy a private jet. And
Exactly, yeah.
fly it around. Because that's a man.
Is that necessarily what it means to be a man? And if you're a young guy going online, if your entire world is online and you just follow these people, you get stuck in an echo chamber, So that's all that you listen to is like, I need girls, I need women, I need bitches, and I need money. Like, what is that? It's like a early '90s rap song. It's like that. It's not real anymore.
I don't think it ever was meant to be real. Okay, so one of the complaints of men nowadays is that, especially younger men, is that because there's constant this narrative of redefining the male role, gender roles and all that, there is a confusion, there's an identity crisis as to what a man actually is. Do you see that as a potential banana skin for men down the road?
Well, yeah, when there is confusion and lack of clarity, of course, it's very dangerous, especially when you are a young man, that you are, especially after 17, you start to have the sense of identity. Who am I? What can I offer? And I want to share something. I had an interesting conversation with a doctor, and the data shows that the youngster, the Jay-Z generation, whatever, they are drinking less, using less drugs, and party less. And everybody's cheering, yeah. And this doctor told me, Mauri, wait a second. Why are they are not going out? Because they stay in their room, isolated, and they have a relationship, through
the phone,
social media.
Yeah.
And the doctor told me, I don't mention it, but it's probably it comes to Mexico as well. He says, I rather prefer that this young man or woman go out and have a drink, and maybe over drinking a bit, so he learn a lesson and socialize, then stay home and not partying, but because he or she, especially men, is isolated. So, at times when it comes to young men, I was saying in this article, you should read, there's a lot of data. Men are the one dropping the studies because they chase the validation of the story you just mentioned to be a man. To be a man, you must have money. Consequently, we have a young male that is looking to find his space in the world, has zero guidance. The only guidance find most of the time online is being the manosphere, being a man, because it's the easiest way to find validation and to have a framework. Once you start to say that, let's say, white people, Italians are less than me, okay, that's a certainty for you. So as a young man, you have no guidance. You look for things, certainty, that you avoid any form of rejection. That's why we have AD in men, because instead of going out and approach women and experience the rejection, they go here, porn. No rejection. I can have the woman that I like, the category that I like, and I have the validation, which is 100% sure. Consequently, I never like to do these statements, but what really is in my heart, and I'm trying to work out a way, how can I support on that, for young men to, again, get out. They know my message is get out of isolation, come together, go through your pain, go through the suffering. It's okay, because that forms you. We all avoid the rejection. As I said before, people pleasing, to remember. But when we are adults, after our scars, now we get rejected. Say, okay, it's not because of me, but probably that woman or that group of men or whatever is not for me. But a young man that is just approaching and he tries to approach a woman, and for some reason won't say, no, I'm not interested. Say, you know what, fuck it. I go back home, I got this, I prepare myself, I enjoy as much as I want. Paradoxically, and I finish, it's something that is quite new for me as well, because we all avoid pain. In some way, somehow, we avoid, as we said at the beginning of the conversation. But actually, the work that after 4 years working with literally hundreds and hundreds of men is, let's get together and let's get a courage to go through, not because we love the pain, but we need to develop the skills to go through the discomfort. Because think about the superpower of knowing that, Mauri, whatever life throws at you, I'm going to go through.
I can deal with it.
I can deal with it.
Okay.
That is, man, the most beautiful, liberating, healing things that can happen in a life of a human being.
And I think, honestly, just by going through this podcast, by spreading, there's an alternate view compared to the extreme view out there.
Yeah.
It's good. That's what young men need to hear. That it's not simply about making as much money. It's not about grinding. It's not about, it's about being vulnerable. You can be vulnerable.
Okay, guys, so that was Maurizio, Rids, and Reshan talking to you about men's problems. I hope you guys took a lot from it. I think a lot to take away. Please share your thoughts in the comment section, what you thought about some of the points we felt, like why do men suffer in silence? Should we get therapy? Should we be more open with our feelings? Should we be more vulnerable? So much more to discuss, and I love to hear what you guys have to say. So thanks again, guys. All the best to y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much,
guys.
Vino.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye.